Okay, and let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, for this Holiday Keyword Research Best Practices webinar. I'm your host, Jeremiah Chambers, here with my good friend, Vincenzo Descano from Ecomcy. I'm representing DataHawk. He's representing his organization. And before we get started here, really quick, Vincenzo, I'd love to hear from you a little bit about Ecomcy. What does Ecomcy do, and what can it do for our listeners?
Sure, yeah, first of all, Jeremiah, thank you very much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here today. I love what you guys are doing in the Amazon space. And to be honest, I love these webinars, these initiatives. So thank you for that. And just to give you a brief introduction about myself, yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and we're a full Amazon brand management agency. We specialize on everything that has to be done in terms of scaling brands on Amazon. We got teams in-house that help you with the PPC side of things, listing optimization, launch strategy, images, graphic design, everything that you need basically from A to Z to succeed on Amazon. And we're able to help you actually in all the marketplaces because we got people all around the world. And we're more than happy to explore ways to help you grow on Amazon. Yeah, thank you.
No, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And yes, that's a lot of different things that his firm does to help you out. And it's a great pleasure to have him here with his experience and his expertise as well. So we're going to keep this conversational. We're going to ask some questions for Vincenzo here in a second, and we're just going to kind of get the conversation flowing to share some of these best practices for holiday keyword research. But some things that we might be touching on today is checking up on competitors, conducting keyword research, assessing historical keyword ranking data, optimizing PDPs accordingly, and leveraging supporting tools. We may cover some of these things, we may not. Again, we're going to keep it conversational. So to start out, Vincenzo, really, I've got one question to start you out, and it's going into this holiday season. Right now, we're actually just on the edge of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. What are some trends that you feel that Amazon sellers are facing this year that might be a little bit different from years past?
Yeah, we said the number one thing that I think these people struggle every single year when it comes to Black Friday and Cyber Monday is that they don't really have a clear strategy when it comes specifically to in the advertisements of things, right? So they don't really understand what are their margins, and based on that, they don't really understand what the CPCs they can afford. And based on that, if they don't really adjust their campaigns and their bids accordingly, it's very easy to go into negative during these days, right? Because we know advertisement usually during Black Friday season, you can see bids increasing 2 to 3 times the norm. So that means on average, if you were paying $1 per click, easily during this weekend, you're going to be paying $2, $3 plus. So you need to understand which keywords to prioritize, which keyword you need to eventually remove, at least temporarily during this season, and make sure you have a clear objective in terms of also in numbers, because it's very important to also have very clear data in terms of where is your business, what can you afford, instead of just saying, oh, I just need to make sales regardless of what happened, because then there are other issues that arise from that. Then you start going into negative. Even if you don't track things such as conversion rate, your conversion rates start going down, then you lose organic ranking, then you have issues with overstock. There are so many ramifications that can happen if you don't really analyze your objectives. That can be very harmful for your Amazon business for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like having a solid plan is definitely a good foundation to start from. And it's interesting for us too. Like, so in DataHawk, if you look at our platform, you can see sponsored rankings, and always like Prime Day and Black Friday and everything. See all the rankings just go kind of crazy. So different companies do different approaches. So you said something about how that amount that they're going to be bidding on, it's going to be a higher amount. They've got to be prepared to be able to stomach that and to invest more into advertising maybe than they typically would around this holiday season. But when you said the right keywords, what type of guidance would you provide to an Amazon seller to help them identify what the right keywords are for their products?
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to identifying the best keywords during this seasonal period of the year, I think there are two ways you can go about this. The number one way you can do is by analyzing what your competition is doing. And the second one is looking at historical data of your own data. Specifically, if you already been selling for 2, 3 years, you can go back in time and seeing what been happening with certain keywords and performance around your products. I'm going to cover both so you guys understand which one to implement in your business. So the first one will be analyzing competition, right? The first thing that you want to do when you're approaching Black Friday and Cyber Monday and also Christmas and this Q4 last period, you want to understand, first of all, where your most of your competitors are indexing for, right? Then you want to understand which are the keywords where there is basically a gap in the market. And these are usually keywords that these competitors are indexing, but they're not ranking high enough, most likely because they are not using these keywords on their titles, or they are not basically getting enough sales across these keywords. And you want to find these gaps in the market to make sure that during this basically very expensive period, as I say, in terms of PPC, you want to target those keywords so you don't overspend on the super generic keyword that sometimes, if you don't have good conversion metrics, such as, for example, having the highest review count or having the best price, it can be difficult for you. So that's the number one thing. You want to prepare a master list of which are the keywords that significantly are relevant to your product. Once you find the list, you want to find the keywords where there is a gap. That means out of 10 top sellers, maybe just 2 or 3 are ranking in page 1. And then you want to target those keywords. You then want to make sure not just to target the keywords in terms of PPC, but also make sure you optimize your listing. That's super important, because if you start adding keywords and phrases that your competition doesn't have in the title, and you add it in your title, and these are keywords that have a respectable search volume, you can start then getting 500, 1,000 search volume in one, 2,000 search volume in one, 300 search volume in one. And then when you aggregate all that together, you might end up having the same search volume that the 20,000 search volume keyword that you are paying $8 per click, right? So you want to diversify your expenses and make sure you can basically enter into those less competitive niches. So that will be in terms of analyzing your competition and seeing what they're doing. The number 1, 2, it will be historical data. And this one, the historical data also is going to be divided into 2 sections. The first one will be seeing what happened in the previous years with your products during a specific season. So for example, with all our clients, we always make sure that we do actually monthly reports in terms of metrics at the brand analytics level and also the PPC level, and we have an archive of all these clients up to the moment we start working with them, right? So some of them been working with us over 3 years now, and what we basically do is say, okay, this product, how was performing in 2021? How was in 2020? What keyword brought us the most sales during this season? Which are the keywords that were super expensive and there is no point even targeting those? And based on that historical data, then we can analyze, okay, for example, if I was selling a water bottle, right? And then I discovered that a long tail keyword during Black Friday brought us the most sale, which is a water bottle for hiking, right? As an example. And I know that, for example, I was getting most of the sale through that keyword top of the placement. Then I know historically, if during the last 2 years, I always got most of the sales through that keyword, I want to bet most of my budget on that keyword top of the placement, right? So you want to make sure you use your historical data to make decisions that are valid for your specific product, because each specific product is going to behave differently based on your offer, your pricing, your bundle, your reviews, and things like that, right? So that's the first section. And just to conclude this idea will be the second one, which is basically people that don't have historical data, people that maybe start selling this year. They don't really have a way to know how the product will perform for Black Friday. Maybe it's the first Black Friday they're going to have. And I think for this, if you have brand register, a brand register is super powerful for this, because with brand register, what you can do is you can go back in time as well. It's not going to be historical data relevant specifically just for your product. It's going to be around a specific keyword, a specific niche in general, but you can have a very good idea, for example, what's going on. For example, let's put as an example that you're selling Christmas decorations, right? And you really need to understand which keyword will perform the best for Christmas decoration. What I will do, go to brand analytics, put 2021 December, or actually we'll start from November to December, those 2 months. I will put Christmas as a keyword in the Amazon search brand analytics report. It's gonna basically generate all the search terms generated from that seed keyword in the Amazon brand analytics. And then I can see which are the keywords that were generating the most during that period, which are the competitors that were controlling those keywords. And then I can even decide if I have a better offer than them, if I need to target them, and then if I need to include these keywords somewhere within my listing. So that will be my full scenario in terms of either using
Yeah.
my competition or either using historical data. Yeah.
Yeah, no, always a good thing to do there. Either, we constantly preach that with our customers is, competitive data is very valuable, historical data is very valuable when it's available. Obviously, if you're starting out, fresh and new this year, you're not going to have that historical data
Yeah, yeah.
to go off of. But no, that's really interesting. So, when you're talking about some of those keywords examples, like you gave that
Yeah.
example of the water bottle for hiking, right? Do you think it might be better for people to focus on those long tail keywords around the holidays to try to narrow their search, or maybe go for more of the broad keywords? Like help me understand, like if you had
Sure.
somebody that you're guiding through that, which way would you kind of guide them on that?
Sure. I would say the number one question I usually give to my clients to understand which route we're going to take. Most of the time, first of all, is what is the budget I'm looking to allocate towards this system? And the second part is also making sure your product is ready, right? And what I mean by your product is ready is like if you want to target something such as Christmas gift, which is a huge keyword, unless you have thousands of reviews, super amazing pricing, amazing everything, most of the time I would say let's not target that keyword because you're gonna burn your money. It's gonna be super expensive for you to target those keywords, right? So for most people, and I think this will apply for most people in this webinar today, what I will do is try to understand first what are your main keywords among your product, and then trying to find ramifications that will adapt to the specific season. So for example, if you're talking about Christmas, right? Most likely, if as the example of water bottle, I will say a water bottle as a Christmas gift, just making this long tail up, right? Or things related to the actual product, but will have a variation to the actual product themselves, right? Or for example, if you want, let's jump around other type of product. Let's say you want to do you want to target the dads related gift, a gift for dads, right? But you're selling a water bottle, you will do the same. You want to target a long-term keyword such as water bottle for dads, or water bottle for moms, or water bottle for Christmas, or things like that. You want to find those long-tail keywords, and the best way to find these long-tail keywords, based on my experience, is using that brand analytics. Because in brand analytics, what I could do, for example, if I'm selling a water bottle, I will put water bottle, I will put from November, December last year, and then that's going to generate a report of all the keywords that brought the most sales. And usually you're going to find 3 or 4 keywords that are Christmas related, Black Friday related, Cyber Monday related, and those variations, those most likely because Amazon is giving you the data that those are the keywords people were looking for. Those are the keywords you want to use either in your PPC or your listings. Yeah.
No, that's really good, really good. And by the way, if my children are listening to this, water bottle for dads, don't get me a water bottle.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah, good one.
Um, no, so this is really interesting. One thing to think about is, especially for the folks that are going to be experiencing this webinar, most likely are going to be experiencing it post Black Friday.
Yeah.
Because this is the crazy week, right? That we're recording this. So post Black Friday, what you talked about historical data earlier. What can Black Friday or Black Friday weekend and maybe Cyber Monday, what can that do for a brand when they're thinking about their holiday strategy post this big sale event? Like, what are some things that this could help guide them on to improve their results through the remainder of the holiday season?
Sure. Yeah, very good question. I think Black Friday can be seen from different perspectives, right? So, and I'm gonna give you a couple of examples why you can use Black Friday for. So the number one objective most people use Black Friday for is for making more sales and of course making some profit, right? That would be the number one objective. The number two objective, which I have seen some sellers do, is, for example, if you have a lot of inventory that's not moving, Black Friday is perfect for that. You can kind of liquidate that inventory, at least break even, get the money back, and reinvest it either on another product or reinvest it on PPC of your successful products, right? And the number 3 strategy is that rather than focusing on profit or liquidating, the number 3 strategy would be focusing on long-term growth, right? So I would say, okay, instead of focusing on making profit now, I would aim to make little profit, maybe just a 5% or close to break even. But my strategy here is that because I'm gonna get a higher traffic than normal that you get in normal days on in the Amazon ecosystem, I will use this to increase my historical data in terms of average sales per day. And if I target the right keywords, this is going to allow me to rank higher on specific keywords. Then that snowball effect is going to increase, because then I'm going to be rank higher on certain keywords for Christmas. Those sales are also going to increase me even to the maximum level if you do things correctly. And then when you start the year very strong, and you make sure that all that investment that maybe was just focusing on break even now is going to pay their fruits, because now you're controlling most of the keywords organically. That's going to allow you to decrease your tacos, and then that's going to allow you to increase your top down profit during the new year. So those are usually the three strategies I see using Black Friday for. This is something that you need to decide internally based on your data, and see what is the most feasible thing to do. So usually that is gonna be the things that you wanna take in consideration, because Black Friday is you need to consider that it's not a normal amount of traffic that you will get in other seasons of the year. So you want to make sure that that traffic, you either use it to scale your business or to liquidate the inventory, or make sure you just focus on the most profitable keywords and focus on top down profit. Yeah.
No, that was very insightful. And then something that stuck out to me though was your what you said about not focusing as much on profit, but thinking about long-term growth.
Yeah.
So when would somebody, like if you're thinking about an Amazon seller, like, whether they're like just starting out, emerging brand, maybe more established, when would you really guide somebody to that and tell them, hey, this season is probably more about you establishing your long-term growth than profit? What stage would you recommend that for a seller?
Yeah, I will say usually the stage for focusing on organic positioning long term usually is for brands that is in the first year or two of their journey, right? And this is also going to come down very strictly to what is their performance, because sometimes you can find good brands that are new, but they did an amazing job during the launch phase, and now they control the keywords, and they don't really need to focus on any more organic ranking. They rather want to focus on profit, right? So that's also very important. But for most people, if they're struggling because maybe during the year there is too much competition in terms of PPC and all of that, and they can't really you can really artificially generate extra traffic to try to compensate the extra sales that you need to rank higher. Then what we decide to do, okay, let's use Black Friday just for long-term purposes, even if we lose some money there, but we need to make sure that that extra traffic that we don't generate during the rest of the year, we use it to our advantage to overcome our competition and start the year stronger than them. So that's usually the perspective you use when we analyze that. Yeah.
No, that's really good. And also, you mentioned earlier about liquidating, certain parts of your inventory. I think, we all go into, when we're purchasing products from elsewhere and reselling it, or we're going private label, or we just have a product that we think is great ourselves. The market doesn't always agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a really good opportunity to make sure, because if you have stock that isn't selling normally, absolutely, it's better to sell it at a break-even point, or maybe even a slight loss,
Yeah,
than
and
just hold on to it.
yeah, and I would like to add that this can actually be an opportunity for you to actually cross-sell your products. We have done that in the past. We use the liquidation part to actually cross-sell or basically integrate people within your brand, right? Like, let's say you are selling a supplement, right? Supplements, and you're selling vitamin D, right? And vitamin D is not working, so you liquidate vitamin D. But then you use vitamin D liquidation to include your people within your brand, so they can discover vitamin C, omega-3, or your other lineup. And then you can do clever strategies with your inserts, or maybe branding strategy in terms of retargeting with sponsor display. So you can actually use liquidation not just to take your money back, but actually try to bring people to your brand that otherwise the cost to bring them would be too expensive for you. So it's another strategy to see it.
No, that cross-selling strategy, that's a great strategy to put out there. And obviously Vincenzo has worked with a couple nutrition brands. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have done a lot.
So I think we're getting close to having just a few minutes left here, and I think something that would be really awesome to hear is we talked a lot of things that brands can do
Mhm.
that will help them during the holiday season, but we haven't talked about a lot of things that they shouldn't do. So I'm curious, like, I don't know if you have like a special Vincenzo's don't do during the holidays board or something, but if you had to say, like, what are the things that you would advise against during this holiday period, what would those be?
Yeah, the number one thing I would say is stop doing any experimental thing, especially on the advertising side of things. I wouldn't advise you to start doing right now phrase, broad, automatic, all those experimental, very broad, rich campaigns. Because right now with the CPC that I say on average is 2-3 times higher, you're gonna burn money like crazy, and most likely that's not gonna be even relevant data. Very important, because you might say, okay, I have the money to do it, but at the same time, that's not clean data, because that data is being affected by a third party thing that is not really Amazon releasing ecosystem. You're bringing people from that maybe is coming from the TV that see Amazon Black Friday Prime or the newspaper or things that don't happen in real scenarios. And then if you take that data and then use that data to optimize for January, February, you actually just shooting in the dark. You're using data that's not relevant. So that's why I would say in Black Friday, it's not time for gathering data. It's more time to actually make sure you work and double down on what has been working for you in the past or based on the research I already explained. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is not making sure that your listing is fully optimized for this season, right? So you want to make sure that once you're approaching the Black Friday and Christmas season, you have your listing fully optimized with these search terms, right? So for example, if your product is can be used for giftable reasons, for example, the water bottle, it can be used for as a Christmas gift, as an example. You want to make sure that at least you mention on one of the bullet points, or if you don't have a space for that, you then even use it on your search terms report, right? Search term backend, sorry. You want to make sure you mention those holiday related keywords, so you can start indexing for those, especially if you want to do PPC for that. The third thing is use your images, guys. I mean, I know on the first image you cannot do anything, but on the second image on forward, you can change the thematic of those keywords. I mean, of the images, you can make a Christmas theme for that specific is a month. You can even do a specific theme on your brand store. For example, on your brand store, what we do is when on certain brands, we even do specific videos people using a hat with a Christmas tree in the background, and we change all your branding just for 1 month. So I know it can be expensive for some people, and it's not really releasing some instances, but that's something you should start consider that you want to adapt your marketing strategies during these specific seasons of the year. And the last thing I will say, if you want to do all these things I mentioned in terms of PPC listing and all of that, try to have everything ready latest, I would say October, right? I wouldn't advise you to start doing changes like right now, last minute, because first of all, usually in Q4, Amazon becomes very strict when it comes to the guidelines around listings, and they start suppressing like crazy. And then if your listing gets suspended, getting suspended in Q4, it's gonna be more expensive that maybe don't not being ranked on a specific keyword that you forgot and you had the last minute and that trigger something in your listing. So you wanna make sure that you make all these changes latest October. So if something happens in terms of a suppression that is normal, or something to do with the PPC that is not delivering, you have time to react, right? Than trying to fix it on the 23rd when you have 24 and 25 Christmas, and then you see you have nothing else to take advantage there. So those would be my main tips, I would say, for sure.
No, wonderful, wonderful. Those are some great tips, and I didn't even think about the imagery thing. That makes a lot of sense once you
Yeah.
said it. Like that,
Yeah.
that makes a ton of sense. And also, if you have a product that you know that is you can list next year too, that's not time bound.
Yeah, you
You know,
recycle the images for next year, the Christmas one and the Black Friday ones. I'm sorry for interrupting. I forgot an
no,
extra tip that I would say is very important, and this I would say is one of the most important ones. Keep track of your inventory, guys. Very important. I would say I have seen this mistake a lot of times. Unfortunately, they do a very good Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Sales skyrocket. they start selling like crazy. They don't account that December is even gonna get crazy in terms of sales. January comes, they don't have inventory. That collides with Chinese New Year. You don't have time to produce. You got out of stock for 1-2 months and you lost all your work. So make sure you account those things so you don't go out of stock and waste all the effort. So sorry, I wanted to add that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're strengthening your foundation during this holiday period. You
Mm.
want to carry that through into the beginning of next year and see that progress move forward. So no, that makes a lot of sense. Those are some great tips. Thank you very much for sharing that. And then I guess lastly, one question I have to ask, and of course, being a guy who is part of one of the tools that are available, I always have to ask, so what are some things that you would advise that a brand would use to keep track of what their holiday sales are doing and how they're progressing as their vision for their brand is moving forward? Like what are some things to do other than hiring a ComC to help them with getting there?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, now that you mentioned DataHawk is very good for that. I mean, you need a software solution like that in your business. I mean, you need to understand your data, guys. I'm surprised to see so many people still running their business just using Sales Central reports, which are so basic, so difficult to understand. I mean, you need a tool such as DataHawk that can allow you to extrapolate that data, and DataHawk can allow you to manipulate that data, and then you can create your own visualization, super important, and then tracking the data, because tracking data usually we do on a weekly basis from all our clients, because from one week to another things can completely change, and if you don't adjust your PPC based on that, you don't adjust your pricing and your overall offer, it's very easy to go from positive to negative. So make sure you use a tool such as DataHawk so you can avoid those mistakes for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, before we sign off here, definitely love to get people to know how they can get in touch with you and Ecomcy. But before that, I'll give you a plug and say whether you have a fantastic holiday season, you want to have a better holiday season next year, or maybe it turns out not as glamorous as you would like, and you want it to be better next year. Vincenzo and his team are fantastic at guiding Amazon sellers at many different stages to that next level that they're trying to achieve. So Vincenzo, how can they get in touch with you, and where can they check out Ecomcy and learn some more?
Sure. If you reach out to our website, ecomcy.com, you're going to be able to find that we offer a free consultation for all the people that reach out. We offer 30-minute consultation. And just for the exclusive people that's on this webinar, if you reach out and use the code DataHawk when you reach out to us, you're going to get 10% on whatever service you do with us. So that's a special offer just for you guys. Yeah.
Oh, man, Vincenzo's in the holiday mood. He's
yeah.
You're offering a discount. I like it. And for us, of course, datahawk.co, check us out. And I hope this has been very helpful. I know I've learned a lot of things here. I do want to take a look. We did have a couple of questions come through real quick.
Sure.
So go through this. So one of the questions is about DataHawk, actually. So how does DataHawk Analytics differ or compare to Amazon Brand Analytics? And why would someone use the former over the latter? So I'll speak to this first, and then Vincenzo, if you have something to speak to it, you just
Sure.
heard him actually say, kind of the Amazon pre-built reports are a little basic, and they're a little hard to find that specific information or those insights that are actionable. One thing I'll say with DataHawk is that what it will typically feed you is the ability to have that insight ready for you and fresh so that you can take action. Specifically, we have something called Insights coming out that's really awesome. It's going to tell you the top things in your business. Vincenzo, I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, I
different.
would say the same. I mean, a brand analytics is definitely good, but you still need some software solution to go more in depth in terms of analyzing the data, because Amazon is very basic with that data, and you need something such as DataHawk to go more in depth to understand also trends and things like that that Amazon doesn't give you, for sure. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And this one's specifically for you, Vincenzo. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't see it earlier. For Vincenzo, is there a specific Amazon sponsored ad that tends to be better during the holiday season?
Sure, I will say for sponsor a type of campaign, I would say product targeting, sponsor product campaigns would be the best ones, because sponsor displays, sponsor brands, if you're getting started, most of them are more for awareness rather than a purchase to creating a purchase intent. So I would say focus on sponsored products, and within sponsored products, I would say try to avoid during this period, as I already mentioned, automatic campaigns, broad and phrase. Try to go for exact, and on the keywords that you know for sure you have a competitive advantage, either on pricing, either on the overall offering, and something that's not gonna be end up paying like $8 per click, like you can find some very generic keywords. You want to avoid those and go for the long-term keywords that relate to that season.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. And again, folks, Vincenzo, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining us on this one and sharing your expertise. For all the folks listening out there, you know, even the best, I always use athletics and sports as an analogy. Even the top athletes out there have a coach.
Yeah.
You know, for Amazon brands, it's no different. We see a lot of brands get with people like Vincenzo, and we see them accelerate and grow. And then, of course, having the right tools in your toolbox like DataHawk is going to help you exceed and succeed in the marketplace. So thank you very much. Happy holidays, everybody, and happy selling. Hope you have a great Black Friday, great Cyber Monday, and a great holiday season.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.